Hi, I'm TactReviews. Um, well, I just went to go see the Super Mario Galaxy movie, and I know what some of y'all are thinking, because some of y'all know. So why am I out here at the movie theater watching a movie? Well, honestly, because I'm having to deal with a lot of shit right now. But I figured this could just be a moment to sort of unwind for a little bit, uh, and you know, a little bit of positivity in this, you know, with what's going on right now. But um, I just wanted to, I want to see how a video like this could work. But yeah, I went to go see the Super Mario Galaxy movie. Um, I just have the, it's actually like pitch black dark night outside, so I really don't have a reason to be wearing these sunglasses. I just figured it's kind of what the what the car review folks do, right? Um, so I just want to give my first impressions on it. Um, I think it was good for a video game movie, if that makes sense. It's like if I were to compare it to the first movie, I think there's two camps or two like it depends on what you like better, right? If I were to compare like two sort of camps of the of like just movies in general, especially video game movies, I would say if you are a fan of story and plot, and by fan I mean you just prefer a movie to have a good story or plot. The Super Mario Brothers movie, the first one, is I wouldn't say it's a whole lot better, but it is better. If you're looking for a movie, a video game movie that just has all that just like freaking knocks you upside the head in a good way with references, store or all every fan service reference possible that you could potentially think of, then this movie is better. And I think I would say there is a mild story here. Like it's not like there's no narrative here. I mean there is, but it's less like the movie goes so fast that it's hard to like keep track of the story sometimes. I mean, it's a basic, and I think that's why the story's so, you know, I don't want to say bland. I mean, it is bland. When you get down to it, it's rescue the princess, which I guess is in one way slightly closer to like a Mario game movie than the first one was. So like this movie felt like you were playing a game, right? You were playing a game. I will say I watched it in the 4DX Regal Cinema. So I this is my first time doing a movie in this style. But so we had we were watching it in 3D, but we also had the like kind of effects, the moving seats and the wind blowing and the water spraying and scented areas. It's the first time I did a movie in that uh, in that style of theater. And I will say, I do think the the style of theater might have heightened my enjoyment of it a little bit. But I will say, it might have distracted me from a lot of the points in the movie. So I may try, like maybe in a week, try to go to just a regular, you know, non-distracting, not even 3D, just because it was 3D too, so I had to wear the glasses. But just a regular Regal Cinema showing, right? Baseline showing so I can hear and focus on the things that are happening. Because a lot of I was more distracted by the air spraying me in the back of my head than I was pr- pretty much anything else. Um, I don't want to spoil too much. I will say the 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 thing I was disappointed in the most, and maybe this is a spoiler for not. Maybe this is a spoiler, maybe it's not. I feel like at this point, if there was something like this in the movie, you would have found out by now. There's no song. There's no singing. There's almost a song, but it's almost the same song as the previous movie. Which I'm glad that was just almost a song, but I wish they would have I don't know found some way to put it in because I was like you got some you got some actors in there that could have some chops, some vocal chops, and I was hoping I was like, oh, is there going to be a Rosalina song? Is there going to be a Peach song? Is there going to be a I don't expect Mario and Luigi to have a song, but a Bowser Jr. song that could have been cool. Like it would have made sense to me. Bowser had a song in the first movie, and then Bowser Jr. has a song in the second movie. And that sounded like, or well, yeah, it could have been a thing where it was like a song about trying to live up to his father. And I'll say, okay, baseline plot. It this kind of like I would say there's like three plots going on at the same time. Normally you got like an A plot, B plot, but there's at least a C plot, right? I will say Yoshi. Okay, I'm kind of going all over the place with this review because the movie goes all over the place. Um, when I say the movie happens fast, I mean like things that the movie makes you think, like trailers made you think was going to happen way later, happen like right away. Um, and I won't. I mean, I don't want to spoil what things happen in what sequence, but a lot of things that you think they definitely swapped sort of the events in the trailers around to make it seem like um I guess not to like map the whole story out for you. I will say there were a couple things in like my prediction stream I did a while back that I kind of got right, but then the core story I'm actually glad I got wrong. um I won't say to what extent I got it wrong, but the kind of core sort of story, I kind of mapped out in one of my predictions. It was wrong, and I'm glad it was wrong because I didn't want to just be able, predict the whole, movie or anything like that. Now, I will say this movie, like I said, the pacing's so fast that like there are multiple parts in the movie where like you'll be trying to follow like a certain part. You'll try to be following what's currently happening, right? And then all of a sudden, another character comes in and they're like, "Hey, all right, it's time to go." And no one questions it. They're just like, "Oh, okay, that mission's done. Let's just go ahead." And there are multiple times where like I was there, just like questioning. Okay, that just kind of happened. All right, well, no one's gonna question why we're doing this. Like there. All right, we all know Rosalina's in here, right? Mario Galaxy. So obviously, it's Mario Galaxy is going to be Rosalina in there. So I won't spoil like to the extent this happens, but the a minor thing that kind of annoyed me was uh, after Peach had already Peach had already come to know Rosalina, okay, and then Mario. So there's two like hero subplots, right? There's Peach and Toad go on their own little mission. Mario and Luigi kind of split off and go on their own little mission. And then Bowser and Bowser Jr., that's like the C plot. And they're basically on their own little mission. There's a point where they all sort of converge. They kind of converge in separate moments. And in the uh basically very shortly after the split, uh Peach comes to know Rosalina, as in is introduced to her. And I guess the idea is that she probably already knows Rosalina from Tales or something like that. I don't know. But then nowhere in the A plot that is Mario and Luigi do they come, to my memory, do they come to know the name Rosalina at any point. It's not until they converge at some point that they learn the name Rosalina and they're just like, oh, okay, yeah, we know exactly who she is, you know? And that's what kind of took me by surprise. I'm sorry if this was kind of spoilery, but it was one of the that was one of the few things that I was just like, okay. Um, and there are a few moments like that. They weren't as inconsistent to me as that was, but there were a few minutes or moments in the movie where, you know, there's no there's no introduction, there's no, you know, uh, getting characters up to speed on the situation. There's not even really moments where they just kind of sit around and like uh there's no there's very few still moments, if that makes sense, where characters are just kind of sitting around talking. There's even in the even in the parts where they are talking to each other, there is always some sort of movement, right? Um and that's in all the subplots, right? Um and yeah, forgot what my other point was going to be. Oh, I was going to comment on the voice actors. So, um, during the movie, I like this is why I think this is why I like animated movies. I like it when you can watch a movie and just completely forget that there are actors voicing these characters, and that's how I felt watching the movie. I will say most of the all pretty much all the characters, like I was watching the movie and I was like, oh yep, that's Mario. That's Luigi. That's Peach. That's Rosalina. That's Bowser. That's Bowser Jr. Who's the other one? Mm, Toad. Kamek. Right. There was no point in the movie where I was like, ah, awesome, Chris Pratt, good job, or Jack Black, awesome. Jack Black's one of those where you just kind of like, yep, Jack Black just he just does his thing, but like there wasn't any point in the movie where I was like, awesome, Rosalina is Brie Larson, fantastic. I was just like, yep, Rosalina, nice, and that's a sign of okay, voice actors all did fantastic job. Um, every character, as I was hoping, every character has pretty much their moment to shine in a movie. Even the cameo characters, surprisingly. I wasn't I wasn't sure to what extent Star Fox was going to be in the movie, which uh, was revealed by Nintendo, so I'm not going to treat that as a spoiler. But I was surprised how much of the movie was was occupied by all of the characters. Because like in the first movie, you had Luigi. He gets captured, and he's basically just kind of he shows up in like a few seconds to a minute of scenes while Mario and Peach are off on an adventure. But in this movie, everyone gets screen time. And I was actually happy about that. I was like, okay, Mario and Luigi get their time in the sun. I would even say Mario and Luigi get the majority of the screen time. Yeah, because a lot of the moments with Peach, she gets a lot of screen time too, but hers are kind of quick. And by that I mean they're quick where they like hers are more focused on just kind of the action, whereas like Mario and Luigi, they have a little bit more, you know, conversational moments in good ways, and some that are just kind of like just like yep, makes sense to me. You know, Plumber Brothers doing their thing. Um, but even Bowser and Bowser Jr. and any points where the characters intersect, I think is pretty good. Um, as far as like their screen time and the prioritization of characters, right? At the end of the day, uh, it's hard to say. At the end of the day, Mario and Luigi do come out as, in my opinion, what it should be. They are the you know I guess show enders is a good way to put it. They're Mario's the last character you see before the credits. Is the best way to put it, and in my opinion, that's how it should be. Uh, there is something there is some deviation as to like okay, technically this the day is saved by someone else, but in the process, Mario and Luigi are doing the heavy lifting, uh, or the groundwork, and I do like the it's more there's more like teamwork in the movie than there was in Super Mario Brothers, the first one, where like it was clearly like obvious who was like in charge until like you know a couple scenes where it's like okay, Mario has to prove himself right here right now with no help, and even in those situations he did have some help, but some technically help. But in this movie, everyone's kind of on equal standing at least until the very end, where everyone gets their you know gets their chance to do what they do best, and all kind of build up until the final moments. And anything else? Yeah. Oh, music was good. I like that in the what I liked about the music is that they actually I don't think they used any licensed music that I noticed. If they did, it was very short. It was like very brief. May have been one song that I don't even remember. See, I remembered the first one because it was like, okay, that was in Shrek, you know. Um, but this one, every song that they used was like from at least the games, uh, whether they be Mario or when Star Fox showed up, Star Fox music that showed up. I was like, okay, that makes sense. I think it was like Corneria or something. And at that point, I was like, okay, maybe we don't need an original song sung by Bowser if we got some Corneria music in there or Star Fox music. But we had, I mean, there was there Ghosty Gordon? I don't remember. I mean, there would have had to have been, right? But apparently there was Egg Planet. I saw it in the credits. I don't remember hearing Egg Planet in there, but whatever the case may be, I'll say, oh, there were two end credit scenes. So if you're going to watch the movie, stay uh, stay for one end credit scene, and then after like the full blackout credits, stay after that too. Um, the middle, the first end credit scene isn't really that crazy. Um, Although there is sort of a cameo that I was hoping would show up eventually, and yep, it's definitely that character. If you know, you know. And if you watch the previous movie, uh, considering that character's obvious correlation to this movie, you probably be like, okay, this character's it's got to show up eventually. It's Super Mario Galaxy. There's a bunch of these characters all over the place. Where is this one? And so yeah, if you know, you know. And I was hoping he would show up at some point, and it did. So, but also the second end credit scene was something else I was hoping would show up in in at some point in the movie. And well, instead of showing up at some point in the movie, it's confirmed for, I guess, the third film, which I'm glad that we see, okay, that character's there. And that was a character I was hoping would show up. Um, and I guess that's why they didn't show it, because it was an end credits character. But also, if you know, you know. And honestly, some folks might know that, yeah, I've been uh, hoping this character would be in the movie. And I guess it's technically in the movie, but also is technically not. What I did, I won't talk about that. But yeah, that's my thoughts. I'll say technically worse, or just not as good as the Super Mario Brothers movie, the first one. Just because there's not a big story. Not that the first one did have a big story, but it had a, like a narrative that was like just like beginning, middle, end. Whereas Super Mario Galaxy, it I think it just had too many subplots. Like it had three different diverging plots that the movie just didn't have time to, allocate enough screen time to each individual subplot. And it just rotates throughout these three different like subplots until they converge at some point. And that convergence of those subplots doesn't last nearly as long as the um, subplot. Actually, I think it lasts about just as maybe slightly less. It's just that there's very little time given to fleshing it out. But I would give, if I were to give it like a, I don't know, an out of 10 number, I would have called the Super Mario Brothers movie a 7.5 to an 8 out of 10. Just for a good first movie for Mario, right? I would give this one a 7. So Super Mario Galaxy a 7 for story and nothing else. If I'm going purely by, you know, nostalgia, fan service, that kind of stuff, where you're just like, okay, I'm just going to see all the video game stuff, then it's an 8, because there's just so much in here. And even the stuff that we're not that I didn't mention, like, you'd have to watch it like 3 or 4 times to see, to like really notice everything. And I don't know, I don't know if there's like, I don't know if they do like a theatrical or a extended release or something like that. I don't think they usually do that with these movies, but hey, who knows? But with that said, um, that's it for me. I don't know if I'm ever going to be doing any more movie reviews like this. Probably for the Sonic 4 movie that was apparently announced with, like, that was, their trailer was shown off here. So, hey, I might be doing that. But, yep, thank you for watching, and, yep, I'll see you on whenever I get back to doing anything, which might take a while, considering, well, I'm using my tablet to record this, so, you know, let that sink in. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.